Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us and welcome to today's BU Professional Development webinar, From Resolutions to Solutions, How BU Can Help Your Career Thrive in 2023. My name is Jeff Murphy. I am a member of the Alumni Career Engagement Team for the university. I'm also a proud alumnus of the BU Questrom School of Business. Today's webinar is sponsored by the BU Alumni Association and is offered to our 366,000 alumni around the globe, as well as our current students. I'm not sure if we have any joining us today, but we regularly do. I know we have many of you joining us from some very far away places. I think that we had, when looking at the people who signed up for today, representatives from 13 countries around the world and many, many US states. Please know, for all of you out there, we really do value your participation in this and every event and program that BU has to offer to our alumni. Today's presentation is being recorded and will soon make it available for on-demand viewing on the BU Alumni and Friends website, which you can find at www.bu.edu/alumni. And I will be your speaker for the day, and I'm looking forward to taking any and all of your questions about BU career resources available to you. You're welcome to submit them throughout the presentation using the Q&A box. Similarly to the chat, click on Q&A, type in your question at any time. I'll also keep an eye on the chat if you're more comfortable with throwing something in there. I'm going to try and pause at several points during my talk today to answer your questions, but we should have plenty of time at the end to make sure to answer anything that you want to know about what we cover for today. So with that, why don't we go ahead and get started? I think that the resources I'm going to talk to you about today, actually, let me back up for a second. Throughout your career, BU is committed to helping you define and achieve your professional goals. And we aim to do this by providing alumni and students with access to a series of valuable online tools and social media communities. My goal today is to give you a very brief overview of those resources and where you can access them. And quite frankly, 90% of them you're going to access right on the Alumni and Friends website. You'll see the URL listed at the top of my screen here. I'll also mention at this point, I am going to send all of you a copy of my slide deck that contains many, many links to the things I'm talking about today. So you'll have them all saved in a nice handy place. So don't feel like you have to be furiously scribbling notes as I go through some of this. So again, my plan for the day is to run through some slides. I'm actually going to jump a little bit into showing you some of the resources live. And again, we'll take your questions. One thing that I think will be really helpful for me to know as we get started is my colleagues and I talk a lot about sort of the various career stages that our alumni and students are at. And to that end, it would actually be really helpful to know if I were to put you into a box and force you to choose something. If you could tell me which career stage most closely fits where you're at. And so you'll see the poll on your screens now in front of you. So go ahead and click the answer that kind of best represents. I know none of these are going to be perfect. You might actually need to expand or scroll this to the bottom, and I'll go through them quickly. We've got a couple different points of early grad, whether you're a new grad or even maybe a current student new to the workforce. You're relatively early in your career, but really looking to break through to management. Or for those of you like, I think myself in sort of a mid-career, are you thinking about making a change? You're pushing yourself, out of kind of where you are and hoping to get into leadership or be at the top. Maybe you've had to take a break for a while you raised a family or dealt with an illness and you're returning to the workforce after a long time. Or maybe like so many people, you hear about quiet quitting these days. Maybe you're sort of stuck and just kind of coasting as you try to figure out what the heck to do with your life. Or maybe you're more experienced, you're heading towards the end of your career, you're thinking about a second act. And by second act, I mean, for those of you that are semi-retired or are leaving your career in favor of maybe, starting something new, or if you're just really sort of retired, not working anymore, and thinking about how you can sort of leave your legacy and make your mark. We'll talk about that. So the good news is it doesn't seem like anybody was super confused by any of these. It looks, and all of you answered. Thank you so much. So we've got a little bit of everything, which is great because I think our resources can be used by different people for different reasons. And we'll definitely go through some of that. Oh, sorry, let me share the results with you. You should be able to see those now. So that's great. I will try to comment on this as we continue to go through today's talk. Okay. So our resources, I think, are if you think about them, and several of them fall into different categories, but these are the kind of categories that we're thinking of in our heads as we're working to provide resources to alumni and students. We've got things to help you learn new skills. Many of you have probably heard the term upskilling, but we've got a lot of resources to share with you that are designed to help you do a little bit of career exploration, do about a little bit of self-evaluation, and then lastly, just really learn some new skills, whether they be hard skills or soft skills, to help you get where it is that you want to go in your career. Secondly, we'll spend probably the majority of our time today talking about getting connected and building a strong network. I'm sure so many of you have heard that, networking is the #1 thing that you can be working on to advance your career. I personally think there's a lot of truth to that. I don't think it's the only truth, but there's certainly, I think the university can add a lot of value to you and your lives in helping you build a strong network. And then lastly, for so many of you, we do have some folks that were doing more of a second act. Later in your careers, we'll talk about how you can prepare to leave your legacy, make your mark, and have an impact on others in a way that, I think you can be really satisfied with. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in. The good news is the #1 resource I would want to share with you under sort of that level up category is our alumni career webinar series, and you are here for it. You've already discovered that, which is wonderful, but this is an area where, we are tapping into alumni expertise and creating monthly sessions for you to tune in wherever you might be in the world and focus on learning new skills. A lot of them are definitely soft skills like management, communication styles, things like that. Some of them are more sort of the nuts and bolts of career advancement, like how to have a great resume, how to nail your next interview. And a lot of these things are certainly relevant to folks' resumes, cover letters, for folks that haven't been searching or in the job market for a long time. As I said, we do these once or twice a month, sometimes 3 times a month. But the wonderful thing is, as you know now, most of them are recorded, and we made them available in an on-demand library. And I'm here to tell you that we have more than 100 hours of career coaches, industry insiders, and consultants who've done some amazing talks for BU alumni. Those are all available to you in our on-demand library. You can sort through the categories of career training and leveling up that you're looking for. And again, you can access those all on our website. We've got another great one coming up next week. That I hope you'll sign up for. It's called Work from the Inside Out, Managing Uncertainty and Creating Meaning. Certainly, as so many of you are thinking about making changes or getting unstuck, that would be a great session to attend. Another great resource, and this has truly been a highlight of my time working at Boston University, we created something called the Proud to BU podcast. And that's a series of one-on-one conversations with interesting and successful alumni. They aren't all necessarily famous, but they've got great stories to share and experiences that I think others can learn from. The twists and turns, the crazy path that so many of us take in our careers. And so we've got some really great alumni who've shared their story. Much like the webinar series, these are all available on our website for you to listen to now. I think some of them are inspiring. I think some of them are thought-provoking. And again, it was truly a joy for our team to be able to sit down with these alumni and hear their BU story and how it took them where they went, and all of those crazy stories along the way. Another resolution that our team has made has been to generate some new episodes of this series in 2023. So keep your eyes on our website as we release new episodes. And then a huge resource for all of you is definitely the Center for Career Development. My team sits in the Office of Alumni Relations, but you as alumni, certainly our students, but you as alumni have access to a full suite of resources available through the Center for Career Development. This, most importantly, means that you could have access to a career coach. I myself am not a career coach. I think of myself as a facilitator. I don't have any formal training in career stuff. But we've got a dedicated team of counselors who do. And one really exciting thing to tell you is that you all have the ability to meet one-on-one with a career counselor for free. I've been doing this work for almost 10 years. I do not know of many institutions the size of Boston University that have made that kind of commitment to their alumni, that for the rest of your life, you can always come back to BU and meet one-on-one with a career coach at no cost to you. Certainly, much like us, the Center for Career Development also has a ton of online resources that you have access to as an alum. You are invited to attend the online workshops, the in-person events that they have. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. The other thing that you should know is that all alumni and students from every BU school and college have access to staff and resources from the BU CCD, Center for Career Development. But there are also individual schools and colleges that might have their own career center, such as COM Engineering, Questrom, some of the graduate schools, the law school, School of Public Health, the School of Hospitality, not a grad school, but an undergrad program, also has career staff that are available to you. And so just by going to the CCD's website, bu.edu/careers, you can actually also see what additional layer of support you might have at the school and college level. I want to take a few minutes just to highlight some of the online resources that I think are most useful to alumni, wherever you might be, if it's early in your career, later in your career, tons of things available to you that it would be its own webinar for me to go through everything that the CCD has on their website, but I want to highlight just a few. First and foremost, we made the joke in the advertising for this event. You've got a great handshake, but do you know the BU handshake? There is a great resource. We think of it as a career management system called BU Handshake. Alumni have access to this for free. There are many, many tools built into Handshake, but the most important one being access to a job board of positions that are posted just for the BU community. I shouldn't say just for, I should say specifically for the BU community. There are, I can tell you, tens of thousands of positions posted. Many of them are for students or recent graduates of the last 2, 3, 4 years. But I can tell you from personal experience, there are also thousands of positions posted where they are looking for alumni with additional years of experience. So definitely it is a resource, the job board available to all alumni of all ages and career stages. Access to Handshake, unfortunately, it does require, this is a resource that's limited to members of the BU community, like many of the things I'm going to talk about today. And so we do want to verify that you are a member of the community when you sign up for this. You will create a login. If you graduated after 2015, you can actually continue to use your BU email address or username and your Kerberos password. If you graduated before 2015, there might be a more lengthy registration process. It's actually a manually approved thing. So give yourself a little bit of time. You might not get immediate access to Handshake. And the CCD does many, many trainings about specifically how to navigate that website. As I said, we could do a whole other session just about that, but do know that's available to you. One thing that is definitely super popular with our alumni is access to the CCD's career fairs, where they bring recruiters both to campus and online who are specifically looking for BU talent. And you as alumni are invited to attend any and all of those career fairs. We've got our next on-campus one coming up on February 15th. We have an online version happening on March 24th, and you will actually sign up to attend those. You can certainly also see more information about the employers that are coming on Handshake. So again, Handshake, great place to have access to resources that are helpful to you. There are additional resources on the outside of Handshake on the CCD's website that allow you to do so many kinds of things in sort of a self-service model. For those of you who get real stressed out about an interview that's coming up, you can actually practice interviewing online with a tool called Big Interview. For those of you that are looking to make a change, we've got amazing resources around industry or regional research guides, depending on the type of career that you're looking for. We have something called Career Test, where you can sit down for about 20 minutes. I've done it myself, list out the types of organizations and positions that you're interested in, the skills you have, etc. And this system will actually sort of create some suggestions for you about things that you might be interested in or good at doing that maybe you hadn't come up with on your own. So definitely carve out some time to explore all of those various tools and platforms that are available to you online through the CCD. I'm guessing you might have maybe you have a lot of questions about that. Let me actually go back here for a second and take a look at the chat and the Q&A and see if anything has come in. Like always, I struggle with Zoom and some of the trying to look at multiple things at the same time. Great question from Amy. Thank you for asking. You're asking about clicking on the slides. When you're looking at my presentation on Zoom, I don't believe any of the links should be clickable. But when I do send you a PDF of this slide deck, all of these links are things you can click on. I don't have ready access to the Handshake site to send you right now in the chat. But again, if you just go to the CCD's website, bu.edu careers, it is prominently displayed there. You should have no trouble finding it at all. Thanks for asking. Any other questions about the sort of upskilling, career exploration resources that are available to you? We can certainly, oh, thank you so much. Jean has put the link for Handshake in the chat. I appreciate that, Jean. All right, well, as I said, we're gonna have plenty of time at the end. So if you think of anything else, please feel free to go ahead and throw that out there. All right. Let's see. Okay, I may have mentioned this early on, but I think one of the #1 areas that the university can help alumni, certainly in upskilling, there are opportunities to do that. But I think one amazing thing that we want to make sure that alumni take advantage of are the ways that we can help you get connected, build your professional network, and find BU alumni like yourself that are willing to network, mentor, advise, open doors, all those kinds of things. So primarily there are two big things I really want to cover with you in this. We're going to talk a little bit about LinkedIn and some things that a lot of alumni in the past have been a little bit surprised about that they might not have known about before. I am definitely going to talk to you about BU Connects. This is the cornerstone resource that we make available to the community that I think is a revolutionary system to help you build your network and find the kind of support that you're looking for. And then lastly, we'll talk just a little bit about some events that you have access to and some specific BU networking groups that are, to me, pretty exciting stuff. Okay, let me first ask you, so we're going to talk about LinkedIn, and one thing that I love to ask alumni, particularly when I see them in person, is, how many of you are on LinkedIn? And every hand will go up. And then I will ask, how many of you know what to do with it? And about maybe half of those hands don't go up the next time. I have mixed feelings about LinkedIn. I think it's an incredibly important resource. I don't think it's the end all be all. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I'm curious to know, I'm guessing the majority of you that are here probably already have a LinkedIn account. So far, nobody has said, what is LinkedIn? But do you really know the ins and outs and all of the various ways that you can use it to support your career development? Are you somewhere in the middle? Are you like me, really frustrated by the ads, the spam, the strangers reaching out to you you've never met before? And by the way, I will say I'm on LinkedIn and I always accept connection requests from BU alumni. So make sure you've got that listed on your profile if you want to reach out. Great. And, this is no surprise to me. A lot of you are saying, hey, about half of you are saying I could really use some help learning about LinkedIn. We do tons of webinars. I mentioned our monthly webinar series. We hit on that LinkedIn subject many, many times during the year. We had a great one last year that there's a link to on my previous slide from an incredible volunteer who's been doing LinkedIn webinars for us for several years now, a woman named Angela Pitter. So you'll definitely want to check that out. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't share my results with you here. So you can see there's a pretty even split. You know, the majority of you are not feeling like you're experts in LinkedIn, and that is wonderful. Today's session is not intended to be a full-on guided tour of LinkedIn, but there are two specific things I want to make sure that you know about. And so to that end, I'm actually going to share my screen with you, and we will get started with, okay, so I'm going to open up LinkedIn. Hopefully you can all see that now. James, thank you for your question. I will get to that in a few minutes. Thanks for asking. Okay. This search bar up at the top left-hand corner is super helpful for two things. First and foremost, I want to make sure that if you haven't already, you join the Boston University Alumni group that we have on LinkedIn. So if you just search for Boston University Alumni, I guarantee that one of the options that will come up is this group. You can see here it says group. We have nearly 48,000 alumni and students who have joined this group. People are there to make connections. They've got an interesting article to share. They're sharing open positions at their company. They're sharing interesting projects that they're excited and proud about. So this is a great place to do that. I highly recommend, if you haven't already, join the LinkedIn group, introduce yourself. You know, when you join for the first time, let folks know what you are hoping to learn or gain from being a member of the Boston University Alumni Group on LinkedIn. As I said, people really are posting positions that are open at their organizations to this group. It's a great place to maybe learn about those unpublished jobs that you hear about. We'll talk about that more in a second too. So make sure you join this group. Secondly, and this tends to be the real mind breaker for folks. Actually, let me know in the chat if you can. Does anybody know about the alumni search tool function on LinkedIn? Alumni search tool. I realize it might take you a second to get back over to the chat, but majority of folks, whenever I meet with alumni, they've not heard about it. Oh, great, Renee's heard about it before. Jean has not. Maria, tell me more. I will, Maria, thank you for asking. Again, searching for Boston University up in the main search bar. Don't do it on, oh yeah, I'm on my profile actually. No, I'm not, I'm on my feed. If you go, sorry, that's actually if I was in the group, I'm confusing you. Just make sure that you're on your main feed page. And if you search for Boston University, you will see, okay, I'm back in the group. This is the problem. I need to go back to my homepage, search for Boston University. This is literally what I was just confusing myself about. And you will see that LinkedIn has changed what they call this. It's traditionally been a company page or a higher education page or a school page, but Boston University has its own entry on LinkedIn. I'm going to view the page. I also want to pause for a second and make sure that you know my email verification has expired. Oh, that's exciting. I don't even know what that means. I'm one of the administrators for the site, so that's why I'm seeing that message. I completely forgot where I was. So here's the game changer. This page, the Boston University higher ed page, school page, employer page, it's not the employer page, it's the school page. If you click on and view the page, you can actually see that one of the tabs down here is alumni. And this is going to allow you to literally browse through a library of people who have Boston University in their education history. I realized what I was going to say a second ago. You should know that LinkedIn is a little funky. And in addition to the main Boston University page, there are also individual pages for many of the BU schools and colleges. The law school has one, the Questrom School of Business has one, the medical campus, the medical school has one. So in addition to searching through this main BU page, you might also want to check and see if your individual school or college, actually you can see here, the School of Law, Questrom School of Business, there are some other affiliated pages with this. So again, you can browse through literally anybody who is on LinkedIn who has Boston University in their education history. You can do this via keyword. You can actually set a range if you're looking to connect with alumni that are maybe closer to your own age, or if you just want to search for everybody like I generally do, have this start at 1900 and go all the way through now. So here's the amazing thing. You can search through these alumni, browse through these alumni by where they work, so if you're looking to connect with alumni at a specific company, Google, Amazon, whatever it might be, you certainly want to search for people that live in your area, Greater Boston, New York City, California. You can do that. Make sure that you click next, because there are other filters you can use, what they do, what their job function is, what they have identified their skills as being. So if you are looking for alumni that are experts in strategic planning, this is a great way to use that. And then last, most importantly, certainly if you want to find people that studied what you studied, but then how you might be connected to them. First degree connections, as you probably know, are people that you are already connected to on LinkedIn. I think second degree connections can be just as valuable, because that means somebody that you are connected to is connected to that person. And so once you click on some of these filters, let's take a look at alumni who work in the New York area at some of their top companies. I'm going to click on Morgan Stanley because I'm dying to get into finance. Then down below, it's literally going to show you all of these folks that are in the New York area, work or have worked at Morgan Stanley, and you have the ability to reach out to them and connect. We will actually have a session in February, a webinar in February, where I go into more detail about my advice for how to do that once you've identified these people, both on LinkedIn and BU Connects, that I'm going to get into next. So, let me see what other comments I have about LinkedIn. So as I said earlier, I think LinkedIn is an incredibly important tool, but I don't think it's the end all be all. I think there's a lot of junk on there that you have to work really hard to navigate your way through. That's where I think just the BU community is a great place to get started and to find somebody who's a meaningful potential connection. You both had that shared experience of attending Boston University. Maybe it was during the same time period, maybe it was decades apart, but I think that you will find that alumni have joined, particularly the group, because they're interested in connecting with you and with other members of the BU community. So, but in today's day and age, I think a job search, making a change from one company to another, I think it takes, in some ways, a more sophisticated approach than just kind of spraying and praying connections on LinkedIn, applying online. And that's where I think we actually have something that I think works better than LinkedIn. It doesn't contain the spam. It doesn't contain the ads that are happening. And that is something called BU Connects. Before I dive in to BU Connects, does anybody have questions about what I just went over about LinkedIn? Tara, thank you. I'm glad that you like that LinkedIn tip. But again, I found that a lot of people just don't know that that's out there. And it's a great way to make this big, massive place a little bit smaller and potentially a little bit friendlier. I don't see any other questions that have come in about LinkedIn. James, I haven't forgotten your question. I will definitely get to that in a minute. So I want to tell you a little bit more about BU Connects. We launched BU Connects in 2020. Many of you might remember a long time ago, we had something called the Career Advisory Network, where we invited alumni who are interested in helping current students or each other, willing to network, to join this database. It was a very homegrown feeling. It was antiquated and not very high tech. And so I'm thrilled that we were able to turn the Career Advisory Network into this, I think, state-of-the-art platform for making professional connections, finding mentors, called BU Connects. Has been in 2 years, going on 3 years now, has been incredibly successful. I can tell you, people are getting jobs, people are getting internships, people are having incredible mentoring experiences, all because of BU Connects. And I'm excited to show it to you live. Actually, let me go back for a second. I want to share some highlights with you. We have nearly 20,000 users in our first 3 years. We are, doing very well. People are joining this community to get connected to each other. They represent literally students and alumni from around the world, all ages, and these folks are here and willing to help others. 78% of people of the 20,000 folks who have joined BU Connects have said that they are willing to help others in some way. And even 68%, I think this represents, no, not quite, I'm forgetting my math. 68%, I think, are willing to serve as okay, this is 68% because students are not allowed to serve as mentors. The community is open to alumni, students, and BU faculty and staff, but only faculty and staff and alumni are allowed to serve in a long-term mentoring capacity. So that's why it's 68%. But long story short, tons of people have made themselves available. They represent all majors, basically. There have been literally hundreds, over 100,000 jobs posted to BU Connect specifically for the BU community, and groups we'll talk about a little bit more in a second. So the login process, much like Handshake, can be a little bit tricky. And so give yourself a little bit of time. Again, we want this community to be exclusive to the BU community. And so to that end, we're gatekeeping it a little bit. When you're coming to BU Connects, and it's just buconnects.com for the first time, you're going to want to either click this Get Started button or Join Now. And then it's going to walk you through a bit of a process. My pro tip for you is you can actually create your profile on BU Connects using your LinkedIn profile. If you sign in using your LinkedIn username and password, it's going to allow you to copy information like your employment history, your summary, other things over from your LinkedIn and plop it into your BU Connects profile, where then you can make some edits after that, but it's going to save you a lot of time. The other thing is, if you create your profile on BU Connects with a different name than you had when you were a student, if your name is Jeffrey, but if your official name with the university is Jeffrey, but you enter your name as Jeff, we might not be able to match you up immediately. About 2/3 of folks are immediately given access to BU Connects when they complete their profile. About 1/3 of you will find that if you've given us some information that we don't already have on file, you're going to go into an approval queue. It's like Handshake. Keep an eye on that manually. And so long story short, the other thing I want to ask of you is, if you don't immediately get access, make sure you keep an eye on your spam folder, because we will email you and let you know, like, hey, we're not seeing this matching up with a record of somebody that we have on file. Can you clarify for us? So make sure you keep an eye on your spam, because we are going to email you and tell you why you didn't immediately get it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and sign in here. I'm going to use my BU ID. And then I will tell you, I think that one of the reasons I love this platform is because it's very straightforward. It's very clear how you navigate the different tools that are found inside BU Connects. The first thing I want to point out to you is right on the right-hand side here, there's a video guide to get started. This is a piece-by-piece video chapters that show you how to use the site, how to get the most out of it, how to navigate around. So that is always available to you right there on the right-hand side if you want to check it out. As I mentioned earlier, I'm also going to be doing a live deep dive, a live guided tour of BU Connects and how to connect with other alumni in February. And you can sign up for that today on our website, bu.edu/alumni. You will find that this experience is laid out much like any other social media resources platforms that you're on. It centers around a discussion feed, We encourage you to get involved in that. Again, once you get here, introduce yourself, let other folks know why you've joined the community and what you're hoping to get out of it, what you're hoping to give, what you're hoping to receive. One of the things I love about BU Connects is how easy we make it to find people that are willing to help. Just by going to directory, you can see there are flags on the people who have raised their hands and said very specifically the types of help they're willing to offer other people. You will also see this green badge. This is another one of the things I appreciate about the site is that we actually make a distinction between people who are willing to help in sort of a one-off fashion, give you some advice about their company, meet for coffee, open a door at their workplace, review your resume, or people who are also willing to be more of a long-term support system, a mentor. We distinguish between those two things on the platform, and a lot of folks have obviously chosen to offer both. When you come to the directory, the first thing you want to do is expand all of these search filters on the right-hand side. This is going to help you drill down and identify the kind of folks that you're looking to make connections with by, much like on LinkedIn, the kind of work they're doing, what their professional or personal interests are, all of their BU experience, where they might live, et cetera, et cetera. So make sure that you expand all those filters to do your search. I also want to highlight for you the events section of BU Connects, where all of the events that are happening for alumni to attend are listed here. So this is a great place to come to find out about events that you have access to. These are also on our website, by the way. Let's talk about groups. We have, I think, over 50 different regional, industry, special interest networking groups that you have the ability to join. Each one of these is like its own little platform within a platform experience. So this is another great way to connect with like-minded professionals or folks that you're looking to make connections with. Jobs. Okay, so in the chat, Leah asked the question, how are BU Connects and Handshake different, especially when it comes to the job listings? A primary reason why alumni will go to Handshake is for all of the job listings. Recent new jobs posted to Handshake are also fed directly into BU Connects. Handshake is a really formal recruiting tool. If you are looking to hire somebody for your organization on a regular basis, if you're in a recruiting capacity, you're going to want to make sure that you sign up as a recruiter to recruit BU students on Handshake. One of the wonderful things about BU Connects is that you as an alum, if you know an open position in your office, you can post a job in minutes to the job board just by filling out that brief form. So again, much like, this is showing right now 598 job opportunities. These are both recent positions posted to Handshake that are being fed in and positions that are posted to the site by specific members of this community. So this is a super easy way to facilitate that. So Leah, not a great answer. Handshake is a job board and so much more. There are so many more resources available on Handshake. Again, it's going to be its own webinar. I encourage you to create your profile, log into Handshake, and explore that. But there is some integration between BU Connects and Handshake. Okay, I'm just looking over some of the questions that are here. James, let's get back to your question, because you had asked about losing your BU email address. So that's right. A lot of folks that attended, we provided bu.edu, alumni.bu.edu web email addresses for a lot of folks. Go to our website. Let me see if I can actually pull that up really quickly. I'll go back here. Oh, take me. Oh, here we go. Okay, James, right here. Go to. I know it's in here somewhere. Sorry, James. I'm gonna get back to you on this, but there's a space on our website where you can get a new BU email address if you need to. Okay. One important thing to do if you're looking to find out about resources and events happening in your area, make sure you come to our website and update your info. The key to be invited to BU alumni networking events in your area has traditionally been your zip code. Make sure that we know where you live so we can invite you to networking events in your region if you live in a place where there are a lot of BU alumni. But what's going to happen in the future is BU Connects is going to leverage what you've told us your professional and personal interests are. That's going to be another key way that we reach out to you with events that you might have interest in, particularly in the professional space. So make sure that you on your profile are filling out your professional interests and your personal interests. Theo asked a question. I had a BU mobile app many years ago that would show you alumni who are nearby. So there have been several BU mobile apps. I think that you're talking about the BU Alumni app that has ceased to be in use. BU Connects is going to be the best way for you to connect with alumni in your area. And I should have mentioned, in addition to the desktop version, there is also a mobile version for both Android and iPhone. You can find links on how to download those apps right on BU Connects itself. Michael has put James, back to your question about BU email addresses for alumni. Thank you, Michael, has put the link in the chat where it directly take you to how you can do that. Thanks, Michael, I appreciate it. Okay, what other questions have come in? Nothing so far. Okay, so at this point, does anybody have questions about building your network, LinkedIn, BU Connects, and how to use our community to find people that are willing to help, want to be networking with others? Thank you all for asking questions so far. I appreciate it. All right. Well, like I said, I'll be available at the end to go through some more things. A couple of my suggestions for you. Again, I'm doing a session later in February where I go into this much deeper, but as you are finding alumni on LinkedIn, on BU Connects to connect with, here are some things I really want to make sure that you think about as you're doing that. First of all, so many folks, people that are looking for jobs, people that are looking to make a move, traditionally have spent about 80% of their time just looking for jobs online and about 20% of their time networking. My advice for you is to completely flip that. I suggest, and a lot of our career coaches suggest, that you spend 80% of your time, if you're looking for a new job, spend 80% of your time reaching out to new folks to make connections. And again, the BU community is an awesome place to do that. Then you're always going to want to spend time online looking for open job postings. But so many jobs this day, some of you have heard about the hidden job market and heard statistics like, 70 to 80% of jobs that are filled never actually get posted online. Spend your time reaching out and making connections with others. If you've got questions about how to do that, we've got tons of networking webinars in our on-demand library, and we're always doing more to help people get better at that. It's not a born thing for everybody to know how to be a natural networker. It is something that you can get better at. When you're doing that, the number one thing I hear from alumni when they're hearing from current students is that instead of trying to make a connection, the students say, hey, do you know of any jobs that are open, and would you recommend me for somebody that you've never met? Don't ask for a job. When you connect with somebody, ask for their advice, the information that they might have to share with you. Ask them about them. Then later down the road, once you've made a connection with somebody, that's when you might say, hey, I'm interested in this position that's at your company. Would you have more info? Can you introduce me to somebody, et cetera, et cetera. Always be personal and professional, purposeful and professional. A lot of complaints that I hear about the younger generation of Terriers is that they're using slang and emojis in their message. Don't go down that road. Respect connection preferences. BU Connects specifically makes a way that alumni can share the types of support they're willing to offer. If somebody hasn't specifically said they're willing to review your resume, maybe be careful before asking them about whether or not they'll take a look at your resume. Always be safe. In today's day and age, meeting with strangers can be a weird thing. Engage in responsible networking. I have like a magic 3 rule. If you reach out to somebody, give them 3 chances to respond to an email from you. And if you don't hear back from them, which happens, maybe it's time to move on. Don't spam your contacts, et cetera, et cetera. And then lastly, this is, it's old hat for so many people, but it's important to express thanks to somebody who's given you their time or expertise. Send a follow-up thank you. An email can do it 90% of the time. If somebody went out of their way and invited you to their organization for a job shadowing or bought you lunch, maybe a handwritten note is the right way to go about it. I mentioned next month, I'm going to be diving into this much deeper. If you can't join me for some of my networking tips, we have, previous versions of that webinar available on our website. Jenna, thanks for coming. Sorry you have to leave. Okay, we've got some time here. I think we're doing okay. Question came in: when you're networking with folks in the BU network on LinkedIn, is it called BU Connects? Thanks for asking. That is a very separate system. LinkedIn, BU Connects, two separate systems entirely. Your question is, which is the better place to connect with BU alumni? And I'm going to give you that classic answer of both. Use them both hand in hand. I'll be honest with you, LinkedIn, you're going to find more BU alumni are on LinkedIn than have joined BU Connect so far. But a great strategy, and I'm really glad that you asked this question, if you find somebody interesting on on LinkedIn that you don't already know, but you really want to connect with them, and you can see that they went to Boston University, the first thing that I would do is then go to BU Connects and see if they are already on there. Because if they are, chances are they've been very specific about whether or not they're willing to be contacted by somebody they haven't met before. If they are offering to review your resume, if they're offering to open doors at their workplace, if they're willing to be a mentor, if there's somebody that you think you can really learn from, and they've already made it obvious that they're willing to do that, you can specifically ask them to be your mentor right on the system. Is there duplication of activity? Yeah, absolutely. I would be the first one to admit that. But in today's day and age, I think it takes more than just LinkedIn to find that new job. And I think that using tools within the BU community is a great way to get out there and make connections. It's making this giant LinkedIn a little bit smaller. And, finding, everybody will always say, finding a new job is a full-time job. It takes effort, it takes time. There might be some duplication of activity that I think you're right. That's all I can say about that. Tara has asked about the process for accessing one of the career coaches available through the university. You will, there's many ways that you can do that. Again, you can schedule an appointment right on the handshake system that the Center for Career Development offers. You can also just email them or call their offices to schedule something. Maria is asking hybrid jobs too. I assume that you're asking about the jobs that are posted on LinkedIn. Absolutely, or excuse me, not LinkedIn, but on BU Connects. Absolutely. I mean, so many more jobs are hybrid, remote these days, and many of the people that are posting them are specifying the expectations, the in-person, hybrid, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Lastly, for those of you that might be in your second act or more advanced in your career, or just really interested in being helpful to others, there are some things that you can do to have an impact on other people. We just talked about BU Connects. You can very specifically make yourself willing to help, and you can select from a menu of options of the kinds of things that you're willing to do. Similarly, you can offer to be a mentor on BU Connects. You have a lot of control over that. You can say how many people you're willing to connect with. Certainly, when and where you connect with those folks. And one of the great things about BU Connects that you'll start seeing soon, at the end of this month, we're going to be launching some university-wide mentoring programs. So for those of you that are out there that feel like you've got some expertise to share, you're going to have opportunities to specifically join a program where we match you one-to-one with a mentee, or try to match you one-to-one with a mentee using a behind-the-scenes algorithm. So that's an amazing way that I know so many alumni want to give back to the university and to our current students by sharing their expertise. BU Connects is the #1 way for alumni to be able to do that. One of the things we need folks to do, people, when you go look at the BU Connects website, students are asking questions. Alumni are saying that they're interested in learning more about this industry, looking for positions in this industry. We need folks to weigh in with their advice, comments, answer questions. that's something that you can do to help give back. And as certainly as we talked about, it's incredibly easy for you to share jobs at your organization or on your team in just a couple minutes by doing that on BU Connects. If you are not somebody who is regularly hiring, one of the things you can do is to convince the organization that you might work for to make sure they are recruiting through BU. Certainly, you know, if you want to post positions to BU Connects, you can do that. But the best thing to do would be to ask your HR or recruiting teams to make sure that they are a handshake approved recruiter for Boston University alumni and students. And then lastly, you know, you can literally pay it forward by making a gift to Boston University scholarship funds. These are the things that literally make it possible for students to attend the university and have the experiences that enable them to go on and have amazing jobs and wonderful careers. The dirty little secret that I always share with alumni is that the college rankings game actually takes into account how many alumni participate in giving to their alma mater year over year. Not necessarily how much, but the participation rate. So even making a small donation to the scholarship or fund of your choosing can make a tremendous difference for the university in so many ways. Literally, this webinar I'm doing today, the work that we're doing trying to support alumni and students in their careers, it wouldn't be possible without the financial support of our alumni. And I want to thank all of you that have already donated to the university in the past. Here's the simple truth. In order to compete with Harvard and MIT and all of these great institutions that are, you know, around the world that have this really amazing, strong alumni mafia, we need to create that for Boston University. I'm hoping that you can be part of it. Give back, offer the kind of help that you can help to each other. And when you get that email or that phone call from another BU alum or a BU student that's interested in learning more about you or your organization, that's where we need you to step up and create that kind of community that everybody that attended BU wants to see. So again, I know I went through things very, very fast today. And this was intended to be a brief introduction. If you go to our website, you will find detailed explanations for so many of these things. As I said, there are guided tours of how to use BU Connects and what for. There are trainings for what BU Handshake is all about. This was just intended to be an introduction. Please feel free, once you've explored these things on your own, gone to our website, scrolled through our webinar library, created your profile on BU Connects or Handshake. Once you have questions, then you are always welcome to contact me. My email address is here if you want to jot it down. Again, I am going to be sending everybody a copy of this slide deck along with a recording of this session. So you'll always have the ability to refer back and try to decipher whatever I was babbling about at the time. A couple of questions have come in. The question was about whether or not you can create your own private groups in BU Connects. No, right now this is a university initiative that these groups are backed by staff that are there to support these networking initiatives. I would say, Jennifer, if you've got an interesting idea for a group on BU Connects, definitely let me know. I'm always looking for those suggestions, but we're really trying to just focus on large groups of people at this time and not like a Facebook group where, you know, people are looking to, I'd be curious to hear more about where your question comes from. So feel free to let me know. So again, we've got a few more minutes here. I've seen a couple people write in with thanks. Pearl, you're welcome. I'm glad that you found this valuable. Any other questions that I can answer for anybody about anything at all? You're most welcome, Sherry. Thank you for coming today. Well, I've got a few more minutes, so I'm happy to stick around. And if anybody thinks of anything else they want to ask me about, I'll be here. Otherwise, I really appreciate everybody for attending. I want to, again, invite you to attend our webinar next week. You can sign up now on our website, bu.edu/alumni. And I hope we'll see you in upcoming career events, maybe the career fairs that are happening on campus. Hope you all have a great day or a great evening wherever you might be. Dan, I'm so glad to see that you've got a little hope. That's wonderful. That makes me feel really good. Maria's letting everybody know that she was let go by a police officer who had pulled her over because they had the BU connection. That's fun, Maria. We might have to write an article about that someday. Lots of you saying that you just appreciating the information. You're very welcome. I'm glad if this was helpful to you in any ways. That really makes me feel like I'm doing my job. That's what I'm here for. So I've stopped recording now, by the way, if anybody wants to ask a question that they were maybe too afraid to ask while we were running the recording of the webinar.